Welcome to Taiwan Education and the Culture. This is lesson 4. We will address the social system, social structure. And this is the lesson 1, social system and the group. Let's begin. Taiwan's society and the culture upon which it is built are basically traditional and Chinese. Rapid economic growth since the 1960s has given rise to Taiwan's fast-paced democratization, and which in turn produced profound social change. The differences in culture among the ethnic groups help explain Taiwan's diversity and to some extent its colorful and at times raucous politics. As you can see the picture here, we have the very Taiwanese opera that was sung by the player with the Taiwan dialect. And then the other one is the political election night, as you can see. Culturally, Taiwan grew apart from China for many years, though recently with an increase in cross-strait contact and China becoming capitalist and to some extent returning to its traditional culture, this trend has reversed course. I would add a little bit about the background of the things happen in China, because there has gone through 10 years of the Cultural Revolution that was between the 1966 through 1976. And during the time, I think China has destroyed many imperial and Confucius, everything traditional. However, Taiwan has tried to preserve this kind of the Chinese culture. Then we will mention how the different systems in the social structure and the orders. The Aborigines' social systems were tribal, though their social order differed markedly between two broad defined groups. There's one group which is called the Mountain Aborigines, and the second group is called the Lowland Aborigines. I think we mentioned before the tribe of the Aborigines in Taiwan were recognized 16 Aboriginal tribes according to our law right now. So therefore, we divided the Mountain Aborigines and the Lowland Aborigines as two broad groups. The Mountain Aborigines' social structures were more communal and less settled. The lowlands are more sedentary and in some important ways resemble of those Chinese agrarian society. The picture here is the Aboriginal group, the Mountain Aboriginal group in central Taiwan. That was the picture took in 1939. In some tribes, the social status was determined largely by age. The male in Zhou tribe in this picture, the older male basically became the leader of the tribe. Most, but not all, were male dominant. They are patriarchal and patrilineal. All of the Aborigines group were monogamous, just one husband and one wife for the most tribe. With the coming of Chinese migration, many lowland Aborigines were either killed or assimilated by the Chinese. I think that history written in the book depends on which ethnic group the background, because the lowland region, they don't write down their history in character. They have preserved the oral history, and there's a story kept. The many Aborigines were killed by Chinese migrant. Either they will stay in the village and then they learn the Chinese way. Therefore, they are assimilated by the Chinese. The mountain Aborigine register change and assimilation more than the lowland. And the result of this resistance, they will live further away from the Chinese society, and they were like enemy to each other for the most tribe. Social relations among the Chinese immigrants were, from the onset of their migration to Taiwan, founded on the village, which was typically controlled by one or a few powerful village leaders who regulated land tenure and were responsible for security. And so a social hierarchy was to a degree founded on the land tenure. On the background of this statement is the Chinese are very good in the farming, in the agriculture farming, and therefore they will need land to be their productive weapon tools. So the system of the hierarchy were based on the land tenure. That's the reason why. The social hierarchy of the Chinese population of Taiwan was patriarchal and patrilineal. And this is the term will be correct during like the Qing dynasty. Yeah, that was between like 1683 until 1895, I think. That is the very typical family tree. In the Chinese family, they will mark down the first ancestor, like for example, the family, the last name Wang. They will write down the ancestor who came to Taiwan, like a great father. Then only male will be written shown on the family tree. So the great grandfather is it never been shown the daughter. Okay, then we'll have the grandfather, then to father, and then also only son, only the male can be written shown on the family tree. And you can see this is the typical family tree shown in the Chinese tradition, Chinese family. We see only males were heirs, and as a consequences, female children were seen as temporary members of the family, and thus they were trained in the household skills, so they can be married into a friendly household. Yeah. The daughters has a very like temporary status in her original family. Yeah. Finally, their position was determined by the husband's household. And typically, children were given little responsibility until the age of about 6. When they reach the 6 years old, they start to carry the family responsibility. And some family will give them the choices to learn to enter the education. Yeah. But not many family can afford the children to have the education in the Qing dynasty. By the age of 16, the children turned into adult. They were assumed the adult duties. Now, there's a ceremony in Tainan City. They will celebrate the young men in some area in Tainan City. They will celebrate the male turning to 16 because from the now on, he will gain the full wages as an adult and never receive the little wages as a children. Yeah, this was the age of the 16, became an adult. The mother was mainly responsible for rearing the children, but grandparents and the other siblings also play a role in raising the children. Okay. In terms of the social class hierarchy, working for the government and in education conferred elite status. There was another route to the higher class. Yeah, it is from commerce. Yeah, when you are rich family, from the rich family, you will also gain a higher social class. And in traditional society of Taiwan, parents will arrange the marriage of their children, which is no longer in the situation right now. The modernization processes, especially urbanization, mass education, consumerism, materialism, and westernization profoundly affected the family system in Taiwan. And it started about in 1960. As we had mentioned in the beginning, the family system and social system has changed in the modern time. The family system has changed from extended family into nuclear family. Therefore, the tradition patriarchal system turns into equal status among husband and wife. The heir of family wealth also changed. The son and the daughter share the wealth equally according to the law. Then I have the question for you. Based on your understanding, can we say Taiwan has a uniform culture and a social system? Well, think about it. Taiwan has a diverse ethnic group. Therefore, we don't have the uniform culture and the social system. You may say basically majority of Taiwan has followed the Chinese culture and the social system. But if you consider the Aborigines, they have slightly different. I think you may explore that with a further understanding. Yeah. And this is the end of the lecture.